It's kind of wild, isn't it? Just a little while ago, building anything substantial with AI felt like, something out of a movie.
Absolutely. Sci-fi stuff, really.
But now,
Yeah.
it feels so much more accessible. Tools are just popping up everywhere, letting people create AI automations without needing like a computer science degree.
Yeah. It really is a fundamental shift. We're
Yeah.
seeing this um, democratization of AI, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, democratization. That's a good word for it.
Capabilities that used to need really specialized knowledge are now, well, they're within reach for a much wider group of people. And that's largely thanks to these low-code and, even no-code platforms.
Which is exactly what we're diving deep into today, right? The whole landscape of these low-code AI agent building tools, the workflow automation stuff.
Mm.
We've pulled together a lot of information on what's out there right now, how these platforms are changing, and some of the really interesting newer developments, like this MCP server support we've been hearing about.
Right, MCP. And for everyone listening, maybe you're trying to get your head around all this quickly, figure out what's useful.
Without getting totally overwhelmed.
Exactly. So our mission today is really to cut through the noise and give a clear picture of the tools. What's new, how businesses are actually using them, maybe where things are headed.
And importantly, how they stack up against just, coding things the old-fashioned way, the pros and cons.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's kick things off. When we talk about low-code AI agent building and workflow automation,
Hmm.
what's the core idea here? What are we really talking about?
Well, at its heart, it's about giving people, individuals, teams, the power to build automations and intelligent agents that use AI, but without needing that deep programming background.
So less code, more
No,
visual stuff.
pretty much. Instead of writing lines and lines of, Python or whatever, you're often working with visual interfaces,
Yeah.
dragging and dropping components, connecting pre-built blocks for different services. It's just a much more intuitive way to get AI into your day-to-day work.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it feels like a big leap from the older kind of automation, doesn't it? I remember setting up those really basic, rigid rules.
Oh, yeah, the if this, then that stuff.
Exactly. If X happens, then do Y. Very limited.
Precisely. Traditional automation was totally based on those fixed, predefined rules. What AI changes is, well, it allows these systems to actually learn, adapt, and make decisions, dynamic decisions.
Hmm.
So instead of just a static script following orders, you get these AI agents that can take in data, process it, kind of reason about it, and then act on their own to achieve goals. They're way more flexible.
Much more dynamic, like you said. Okay, so who are the main players then? What are the actual tools people can, start using today?
Yeah, there's some really interesting ones out there. One that gets mentioned a lot is N8N.
NAN.
It's known for being really flexible, a workflow automation tool, but what's neat is that it sort of serves both crowds, people who want that low-code visual approach, but also those who might want to drop into actual code if they need to.
Best of both worlds, potentially. And N8N, that's the one making noise about this MCP thing, the Model Context Protocol.
Yes, exactly. That's a pretty significant recent development for them. They've rolled out native support for MCP,
Okay.
which means they have specific components now, an MCP server trigger and an MCP client tool.
So break that down. What is MCP and why does native support matter for someone building an agent?
Right. So think of MCP as like an open standard, a common language. Its whole purpose is to standardize how different applications or tools provide context information, capabilities to large language models, the AI brains.
Okay, like a translator?
Kind of, yeah. Or maybe
Yeah.
like imagine your AI agent is a chef. They need ingredients and tools, a knife, a pan, spices. Without a standard like MCP, every time the chef needs a new tool, say a specific type of blender, you'd have to custom build the instructions for how it works, how to plug it in. MCP is like the universal instruction manual and the standard plug socket for all the kitchen appliances.
Ah, I see. So it makes connecting tools much easier.
Way easier. NEN's native support basically lets you create your own central tool shed using their platform without writing code. You can expose your NEN workflows as tools that any MCP-compatible agent can then understand and use. It simplifies managing all the capabilities your agent needs.
That sounds really powerful for building more complex agents. What else is NAN good for in this AI space?
Well, you can build pretty sophisticated multi-step agent workflows. It integrates with, all the major AI models, OpenAI's GPTs, Google's models, Anthropic's Claude, etc. And you can connect it to vector databases too.
Vector databases,
Yeah.
like Pinecone, Qtran.
Exactly. Those act like specialized libraries or memories for your AI agents, letting them pull in relevant information to answer questions or complete tasks more effectively.
So they're not just making stuff up, they have knowledge to draw on.
Right. And looking at NAN's plans, they're clearly pushing towards being more enterprise-ready, adding more AI-specific features, focusing on production use. They even have things like an AI starter kit and a node specifically for LangChain.
LangChain, that comes up a lot too. It's more of a code framework though, right?
It is, yeah. Very popular for developers building AI apps with code. And N8N having a node for it just shows they're trying to bridge those worlds.
Okay, so N8N sounds robust, flexible, maybe for people who don't mind a little technical detail. What about the other end? Purely no code, drag and drop focus.
Yeah, for that, Make.com is a big one. You might remember it as Integromat.
Oh, right, Integromat. Yeah, I remember that.
They rebranded. It's a very broad business automation platform. Its main strength is this huge library of integrations, thousands of apps and services you can connect visually.
And how does AI fit in there?
Well, they already have hundreds of AI-related app integrations. So you can connect to OpenAI, Claude, various other AI services within your Make workflows right now.
Okay, so you can use AI within automations.
Yes, exactly. But
Yeah.
they're also taking it a step further. They've announced they're building their own native Make AI agents feature.
Oh, interesting. So building agents directly in Make.
That's the plan. It's apparently expected around April 2025, so not immediate, but it shows their direction. They're already talking a lot about human-AI collaboration, using AI in their automations to create, like, hyper-personalized customer experiences.
Can you get some examples? What are people actually doing with Make and AI right now?
Sure. Things like automatically parsing details from emails, say, reading Gmail receipts and putting the data into QuickBooks.
No, that's useful.
Yeah, or in HR, screening resumes for specific skills. Marketing folks use it to generate social media posts, or even draft simple ebooks for lead magnets. Building chatbots for customer support is another big one. And managing CRM leads, pulling contact info from forms or emails, and automatically adding or updating records in Salesforce or HubSpot.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of practical, everyday business stuff.
Definitely. If it's a repetitive task involving data, moving between apps, chances are you can build an AI-powered version in Make.
All right, let's shift gears slightly. Flowise AI, where does that fit in? Sounds like maybe some overlap.
There's some overlap,
Yeah.
yeah. Flowise AI is also a low-code platform, but its main focus is really on orchestrating flows specifically for large language models, LLMs.
Okay, so more specialized on the AI model part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really designed for ease of use when you're building something around an LLM. It has these very clear visual flow builders. You can really see step by step how the data moves and how the AI is processing things.
And does it play well with those frameworks we mentioned, like
Yeah.
LangChain?
Oh, yes. Great integration with both LangChain and Llama Index, another key framework in the LLM space. A big strength of Flowise is building custom knowledge bases.
Right, like we talked about with NANM and vector databases.
Yep. Flowise makes it quite straightforward to connect your document stores, your PDFs, your website data, whatever,
Right.
into vector databases like Pinecone. So your AI agent built in Flowise can tap into your specific information.
Giving it domain-specific knowledge.
Exactly. And it also supports integrating external tools, things like calculators or search APIs like Google Search, to give the agent more capabilities beyond just language processing.
So Flow seems like a good choice if your project is heavily centered on an LLM application and you want that visual building experience.
That's a pretty good summary, I think. Now, another one in that visual builder space is LangFlow.
LangFlow. Okay, the name kind of gives it away, doesn't it? Connection to LangChain.
Definitely deliberate. LangFlow is a visual builder specifically focused on AI agents and also RE systems, retrieval augmented generation.
RE, remind me.
Right. RE is that technique where the AI model doesn't just rely on its pre-trained knowledge, but it actively retrieves relevant information from an external source, like your company's documents, before generating an answer. Makes the answers much more grounded and factual.
Got it. So LangFlow helps build those visually.
Yes, and it's very tightly integrated with the whole LangChain and Python ecosystem. If you're coming from that background, LangFlow might feel very natural. Gives you pre-built NLP components, drag and drop style.
And can you get under the hood if you need to?
You can. One really interesting feature is that you can actually export the flows you build visually as Python code.
Oh, wow. So you can start visually, then maybe customize further with code.
Exactly. It provides a nice bridge.
Hmm.
And circling back to MCP.
Yeah. LangFlow is involved there too.
It is. LangFlow can act as both an MCP client, meaning it can use tools provided by other MCP servers.
Like one built in N8?
Potentially, yes. and can also be an MCP server. So flow you build in Langflow can be exposed as a tool for other agents or systems to use via the MCP standard.
Okay, so this ecosystem idea is really taking shape. These tools aren't just isolated silos.
Not necessarily, no. And beyond these main platforms, there are other things to be aware of. For open source fans, you've got tools like Obsidian, which is a note-taking app but it has tons of AI plugins now, or Private GPT for running AI models locally on your own machine.
For privacy-focused tasks.
Right. And Langchain itself, while code first, is immensely powerful if you do want to code custom workflows.
Any others that take a different angle? I think I saw Lutra.ai mentioned somewhere.
Yeah, Lutra.ai. That one's quite innovative. It actually uses AI to help you build AI agents by generating the necessary code.
Whoa. AI building AI?
Kind of meta, isn't it? A really interesting approach.
Definitely. It really feels like this space is just exploding with options. Are there others maybe for more specific or advanced situations? Production environments, maybe?
Oh, for sure. If you're thinking about deploying these workflows reliably, especially in a business context, you start bumping into other tools. Things like ZenML, which is really focused on reproducibility for machine learning pipelines, making sure you get the same results every time.
Right. Important for production.
Crucial. Then there's Apache Airflow, a well-established tool for scheduling and managing complex workflows at scale. Very robust.
Steeper learning curve, probably.
Generally, yes. Then you have Streamlit, which is fantastic for quickly building interactive web apps or dashboards around your AI models. It makes it easy to share results or let people interact with the AI.
Visualization, interaction. Got it.
For really large-scale distributed AI stuff, there's Kubeflow pipelines, often used in cloud environments. Again, more complex. If you're deep into natural language processing specifically, Haystack is a framework worth looking at. And for managing data pipelines alongside your AI workflows, Dagster is gaining popularity. It emphasizes data lineage and observability.
Okay, wow. So there's a whole spectrum from easy visual builders to complex orchestration frameworks.
Exactly. Each has its niche, its strengths, its trade-offs, depending on what you're trying to build and your team's technical chops.
Okay, this is super helpful. Let's circle back to MCP, the Model Context Protocol. We use the chef analogy, but maybe dig a bit deeper. Why is this standardization and the native support in tools like an EAN such a big deal?
Well, the core value is really interoperability. Before something like MCP, connecting an AI agent to different tools, your calendar, your email, a database, some external API, it was all custom work.
Point-to-point integrations.
It's exactly. Time-consuming, complex, brittle. Every tool speaks its own language, expects data in its own format. MCP creates that common language, that standard structure. It defines how a tool describes its capabilities and how an agent should interact with it.
So it just smooths everything out.
Dramatically. And NEN building it in natively just lowers the barrier to entry massively.
Right, because you don't need to code the MCP server part yourself.
Precisely. You can take an existing N8N workflow, maybe one that updates your CRM stick, an MCP server trigger node on the front, configure it a bit, and boom. That workflow is now available as a standardized tool that any MCP-compatible AI agent can potentially use.
So let's get practical. Inside NEN, how do those specific nodes work? The server trigger and the client tool.
Okay, so the MCP server trigger node, essentially, it creates a web endpoint, a URL.
Yeah.
You can add security, like authentication, define the specific path.
Yeah.
And any workflow connected behind that trigger becomes a service callable via that URL, speaking the MCP language.
Okay. And the client tool.
The client tool is the other side. It's what you put inside your AI agent's workflow. It allows that agent, or another system, maybe like the Claude desktop app that supports MCP, to connect to an MCP server. You give it the server's URL, and the client tool handles the communication, discovering what tools are available on that server and letting the agent use them.
Ah, so it's like a universal remote for AI tools.
That's a great way to put it. It creates this potential for a centralized tool library, instead of loading up every single agent with every possible tool it might need.
Which sounds inefficient.
Very. You can have a central MCP server offering a set of curated, approved tools, and different agents can just tap into the ones they need for their specific task. We've even seen hobbyist examples, like someone running an MCP server on a tiny little ESP32 microcontroller.
Like a Raspberry Pi kind of thing.
Yeah, even smaller sometimes. And using it to let an LLM control physical hardware, like opening and closing window blinds.
Wow. That really shows the potential for connecting AI to the physical world through this standard.
It really does. And remember, Langflow can also act as an MCP server, so this ecosystem is definitely growing.
Okay, this MCP development feels really significant for making agents more capable and manageable. Let's shift focus now to the bigger picture. How are businesses, enterprises actually adopting these kinds of low-code AI tools? What's the vibe you're getting, and what's the future look like?
There's definitely huge and growing interest from enterprises. A big driver is just the need for speed, faster development cycles,
Always pressure to move faster.
always. And then there's the persistent shortage of traditional software developers. Low code, no code offers a way around that bottleneck, at least for certain types of applications and automations. Market analysts like Gartner, Forrester, they're all predicting really explosive growth in this market. Mainstream adoption seems pretty much inevitable at this point.
And it's not just the IT department driving this, is it?
No, not at all. That's the other key trend, the rise of the citizen developer.
Citizen developer, meaning regular business users building stuff.
Exactly. People in marketing, finance, operations. Folks who understand the business problems deeply, using these user-friendly tools to build their own solutions, automate their own workflows. Some analysts predict citizen developers will be the vast majority of low-code users within a few years.
Empowering people closer to the actual work.
That's the idea.
So how does AI specifically weave into this enterprise low-code story?
Well, they're converging rapidly. We're seeing these platforms become what you might call AI-infused. Low-code tools are embedding AI capabilities directly.
Making it easier to add intelligence.
Much easier. So building smart automations, AI agents, it becomes accessible, even if you're not an AI expert. These platforms are becoming the key vehicles for deploying agentic AI, those more autonomous agents that can handle complex multi-step tasks.
And does that change the role of traditional developers?
It likely does, yeah. The focus might shift more towards orchestration, system architecture, maybe prompt engineering, ensuring responsible AI deployment, governance, rather than just writing every line of code. We're even seeing AI agent builders emerge as like a whole new software category.
Interesting. So looking ahead, what are these platforms, N8 and Langflow, make actually focusing on in their roadmaps? What's coming next?
N8 is clearly doubling down on enterprise readiness. Things like better workflow organization, more robust deployment options, improved scaling and performance, better monitoring. And of course, more AI first features more AI tool integrations, adding AI guardrails for safety, maybe even exploring text-to-workflow generation.
You just describe what you want, and it builds the workflow.
That seems to be the dream, yeah. Langflow is looking at things like better support for multimodal data images, audio, not just text, more integrations, performance monitoring, better customization for enterprises, and collaboration features for teams. They're also talking about a potential marketplace for sharing flows and components.
Like an app store for AI flows.
Kind of, yeah. And Make.com, their big near-term thing, is launching those native AI agents in April 25. Longer term, they're aiming to bring AI to bear on more media types, images, video, audio, while still focusing on that human-AI collaboration and personalized customer experiences.
Okay, so lots of focus on both more powerful AI and making it enterprise grade. Now, a crucial question with any powerful new tech, especially easy-to-use tech.security, what are the risks we need to think about with low-code AI agents?
That's a super critical point, especially when you have folks without deep security training building these things. Vulnerabilities can creep in. A really common one is accidentally hard-coding sensitive information API keys, passwords directly into the visual workflow.
Oof, yeah. Easy mistake to make if you're just trying to get it working.
Exactly. And then that key is just sitting there, potentially exposed. Beyond that, the AI agents themselves can be attacked, things like prompt injection.
Prompt injection.
Yeah, where someone crafts a clever input message that tricks the AI agent into ignoring its original instructions and doing something malicious, instead maybe revealing sensitive data or performing unauthorized actions.
So the agent itself becomes the vulnerability?
It can, yes.
Yeah.
So organizations really need visibility. You need to know what agents are running, what they're doing. You need audit trails. You need strong access controls. Frameworks like the NIST AI Risk Management Framework are becoming really important guides for managing these kinds of generative AI risks.
Makes sense. Security can't be an afterthought. Okay, so pulling it all together, let's weigh the pros and cons. What are the big advantages of using these low-code tools for AI agents versus just coding them traditionally?
Well, the biggest advantages are definitely speed and accessibility. You can build and deploy stuff way faster than coding from scratch.
Time to market.
Huge factor. And it opens up development to way more people, not just hardcore programmers. This allows for rapid prototyping, quick experiments, trying out ideas fast. Plus, There's the potential for cost savings, less reliance on expensive, specialized coding talent for certain tasks, and empowering those citizen developers we talked about. That boosts productivity across the organization.
Okay, those are strong arguments. What about the downsides? When is coding still king?
The main limitations usually come down to deep customization and handling really complex edge case scenarios. With low code, you're working within the platform's built-in blocks and capabilities.
You're limited by the toolkit provided.
Pretty much. You might not get the fine-grained control you need for something truly bespoke. There can also sometimes be concerns about production stability, scalability limits, or maybe just bugs in the platform itself compared to mature coding frameworks. You're also dependent on the platform vendor and their specific integrations. If they don't support a service you need, you might be stuck.
Vendor lock-in, potentially?
That's a risk. Documentation for some newer tools might not be as thorough as for, say, Python libraries that have been around for ages. And finally, pricing. Some platforms charge based on the number of operations or workflow runs, which can get surprisingly expensive if you have really high usage.
Right, the pay-per-drink model.
Yeah. And as we just discussed, that security aspect, the potential for less experienced users to make mistakes like hard-coding credentials, that's a definite disadvantage if not managed carefully.
So it really sounds like a classic trade-off. Ease and speed versus ultimate power and flexibility.
That sums it up really well, I think. The right choice really depends on the project, the team's skills, and just how much customization you truly need.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful, a real deep dive into where things stand with low-code AI agent building and automation. It's clearly moving incredibly fast, and things like MCP support really seem like they'll shape how these agents become more interconnected and manageable.
Absolutely. The potential is just enormous for empowering both individuals and businesses.
And for everyone listening, hopefully this dive has given you some food for thought. Maybe start thinking about which of these tools or approaches might fit what you're trying to achieve. How could you maybe start playing with low-code AI to improve your own work or your business?
Yeah, what small process could you automate first? It's often best to start small.
Definitely worth pondering. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope you found it valuable.
Always a pleasure.
And be sure to stay tuned for our next exploration into the technologies shaping our future.